what's really cool about this movie is a lot of the lore and a lot of the stories that are mentioned to us don't happen until we meet Ben Kenobi and until Ben Kenobi starts talking to Luke about his father. So all the lore that we're getting introduced to is related to one individual character.
Mhm.
And the individual character is somebody who's just kind of like us, somebody who's aspiring to go to greater things, is interested in, you know, moving out of their home basically. And so I think it's a smart choice to be able to say, we got a lot of information that we want people to listen and to be excited about, but we need to make sure that it works with the individual that we've introduced.
Well, and it's the thing I like how they introduced Darth Vader, and you just see like, man, especially when you talk about the opening sequence to Star Wars, like first, that's one of the greatest like introductions to a franchise ever. Man, it's sick. And then when you see Darth Vader and you know nothing about him, you just see this big, evil looking black samurai guy come in, and you don't know what's going on. And obviously at the time, like, you don't know he's Luke's dad or anything. But then when you meet Ben and you see him, and when he talks about how, oh, he killed your dad. And I think it's really cool how they have to make sure, like, they grab your attention with the character. They tease you a little bit about who he is, what the Force is. When you like look at the meetings with when he's around the table, and you at first see him use the Force, and hear him get made fun of for his old, out of date religion, and then you flash to Ben now that describing him. I don't know, I think it's really cool how they are able to introduce that with the audience, as they're able to build the anticipation of, who is this? What world are you describing to me? And all of a sudden, he did what? He killed your daddy?
Yeah.
It's it's a cool way they introduced it.
Yeah, and it's also not just based on lore. It's like we got one movie potentially. Like this could be the only film. So if we're going to write this movie, everything we are writing does not matter if what is being said doesn't relate to what's going on now.
Mm-hmm.
So saying that Vader killed Luke's father is huge to basically just give us some stakes in this present moment. It's like, well, this means that Luke is maybe not going to be able to fight Vader, but he's definitely going to be in some way meeting this individual. And it puts a huge amount of stakes in certain moments that, again, I didn't even remember. Like in the end of the film, when Vader is chasing down Luke's X-Wing, I forget. Oh, right. This moment is big because he killed his father. And
Right?
he could potentially kill him now. Yeah, and I just really love Alec Guinness in terms of when his performance is great in this, and I love how he is this, like, yeah, we all kind of joke about the idea of the old mentor character, but he really feels like he wants to, one, he knows Luke, and he also wants to, like, tell him this story. Like, finally, he's telling him this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the two of them go off to Mos Eisley, you still feel like he's teaching him as they're going along, but they're also taking in this world that, you know, Luke kind of knows, but is also kind of like unsettling at the same time, because I don't necessarily think that Luke has really been to Mos Eisley.
Oh no, and it's you look at the cantina scene, and when the bartender yells at Luke for not bringing in the droids, and he just looks so confused, and he's like staring at everything, just staring at everything. It's like, it took you 15 minutes on your speeder to get there. Yeah, you never been there. No, it's Mos Eisley, man. Like we were chatting before this. I think that's one of the best scenes in Star Wars, especially when you're like put yourself in a situation where, okay, you've never seen Star Wars, you don't know what this is all about, and just like you pull up, and first thing you see is these weird alien people walking around, and then you all of a sudden you're stopped by these stormtroopers, and then you see the first use of the Jedi mind tricks, and you see Obi-Wan really kind of diving back into his old world. And so, you know, you put yourself in Luke's position, you're just like, man, this old man just like got us through the barrier, no problem, just because he told him what he wanted to hear. So you start to see the Force, and you get like the first idea of like, because like, you know, you're able to see Darth Vader Force choking somebody, but then you're able to see what Obi-Wan's able to use it for good. And so you're seeing both sides of the Force. And then as soon as you go from there, man, you walk into the cantina. It's just like, it's insane how George Lucas was able to create this world that's so believable that it's just another planet. And it's not weird that all these aliens are around. It's just like, it's just a normal everyday, like any bar or pub you'd walk into here, where it's, there's these musicians playing their weird alien instruments. Like everybody's drinking, having a good time. But it's like you just see all this universe, and it's like, oh, it's not just like this one planet with these little tiny Jawas. You got this whole universe going on, so you're getting introduced to the universe that is Star Wars. And then not only that, you all of a sudden you meet Han and Chewie. But man, Alec Guinness comes in, like cuts the guy's arm off. You're seeing the first lightsaber, the amount of firsts that you get when you're in Mos Eisley. And then, like, for me, one of the most important ones I think is you all of a sudden you walk into the Millennium Falcon, which is its own character on its own. And it's like, it's cool how just that one, I don't know, this is just a personal thing, but I think that whole sequence, just for setting up the Star Wars universe, the Star Wars world, was just so important because of how many things it introduces you to. And even like you look at, when Han and Greedo are talking about Jabba right there, you're already getting set up for Return of the Jedi. So it's like how big of an impact on that universe that sequence has was just, for me, every time I watch it, I just like get blown away how they were able to pull that off with one sequence.
Yeah. That's, geez. Yeah. So it's man, yeah, that's actually really, really well said on that. Like, that's more than I could possibly say about it.
I've seen the movie a couple times.
But yeah, again, that's all stuff that you notice. But when you think, like, on the first time you see it, it's like, okay, there's a lot of stuff here. But then you really think about it, and it's like, there's so much more, again, like you say, that is important to the whole world of Star Wars in this whole sequence. It's so much, and yet it's just so attainable. Like, none of the side alien creatures, with exception to the guys you meet at the bar who like threaten Luke, have anything really to say. The rest of them are all just kind of like dressing. But what those guys say is already introduce us into a world of danger and a world of like that is outside of this. Like, once it's got this idea where before you're isolating, you feel safe, and then your house gets destroyed by stormtroopers, and now you don't feel safe at your home. And now you're going off into the world, and you're definitely not safe unless you have the right company. So it does this great thing of establishing, if Luke was on his own, he'd be in trouble. But now he's got the right person who has good instincts about where to go. So we kind of have this, while Han just kind of seems a little seedy in the idea that he says $10,000 to a kid, like, give me 10,000 credits and I'll help you. We still trust him because we trust Obi-Wan because he wants to take care of Luke. So we have this really cool, like, relationship. What's the word? It's like attachment already. We're kind of like assuming or assumptions about these characters, even without knowing them. And then I love when Han gets met by Greedo.
Oh man, so good.
It's so good. And it's so good because it's like he's being introduced. We're learning about his character through something that is completely inconsequential to the current moment, but again, makes us attach ourselves to this character.
Well, I love how they don't right away go with Han Solo, the good guy, like the war hero, all this. He's trying to like squeeze Luke for money. He's trying to like weasel his way out from like, getting in shit from Greedo for Jabba. And it's like, then he kills him right away. And it's like, no matter what everybody says, Han shot first. He shot first. Watch the theatrical. He shot first. Like, he's not a good guy. And they lead with it. And he's loved by everybody. I love it.
I just thought about this. When you said that the Millennium Falcon is a character, I never really paid attention to how the Millennium Falcon is introduced. Because again, it's this iconic thing. We've seen it a million times. We see it in wide shots. We see it with great bombastic music. In this movie, we see a third of it in shadow, in a hangar, no music accompanying it, and Luke's just like, what a piece of junk. Just we don't
Yep.
even see the whole thing, but we're just like, this is probably the dumpiest ship ever. And he's like, hey,
A
I
lot of
made some special modifications myself. It
myself.
works. And we're like, oh, we're gonna just trust you. The
I
idea
know,
that
man.
your
He's got a
ship is
pretty
good.
trusting face.
Oh, okay,
No,
sure.
it's well, we met him and we're trying to get shot at already. Like, trust him.
Oh, and then the
Uh,
first action scene we see with these guys, they're blowing up like rocks with their blasters, which is like, I'm not even like questioning because I'm just like invested at this point. I'm just like, yes, I am totally down for what's going on. I want them to get out. This is dangerous. Get off of this place. And it's really cool too because there's even with those creatures, what I said before, where it's like you only see two of them have like lines. You see that creature who's like talking in the walkie-talkie, and this like idea of this world is just like corrupt. It's
well,
this.
we'll look at nobody reacts when Obi-Wan, well, Ben in this movie, cuts off the guy's arm. And then no one blinks an eye when Han kills Greedo, and he just like flips a toonie up to the bartender.
Yeah.
There's all one man just died, the other man just got like lost a limb. No one cares. Bar didn't clear out. No one really cared.
Yeah.
It's like violence is accepted. It's a
Yeah.
way of life to these people.